As you can see here, this is the code from the level challenge. I've named my file level challenge. What we're going to do now is we're going to combine the level challenge with the vertical and horizontal blockers that were earlier challenges. If you haven't done them, I suggest you do them now. I'm going to save this file because I'm going to need it later. Save as. Now your location is going to be vastly different to mine, so you need to save it in your own areas. I'm just going to save it in your lesson 3 folder. I'm going to call it level challenge because I am going to open up the files that we did earlier with the horizontal and vertical blockers. Obviously, if you haven't done them, you need to do those now. Save the files and then you can do what I'm going to be doing. So file, open, let's go find those 2 files. Let's start off with the horizontal one. Shared documents, and here I've got a horizontal blocker. So we created the code to make the horizontal blocker work. If you remember, if you've just done it or you did it earlier, that's what it should look like. And instead of recreating all of this code and changing things, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to save this sprite. I've just noticed it's not named, so let's call it H blocker. I'm going to actually save this sprite to a file. So if I right click on it, I can save to a local file. You should save it to your own area. So this is not saving a game, it's just saving a sprite from the game. The useful part about it is it's going to take all of this code with it, and then I can use it in my new game. So I've called it H blocker, so I'm going to save it in year 8, term 1, lesson 3, H blocker. There we go. Now that's not the game I've saved, it's just the sprite. I'm going to do the same with the vertical one, so I'm not going to save my program. Let's go and find the vertical one. Shared documents. Vertical blocker. Open. I've got a feeling I haven't named that one either. Nope, there we go. So V blocker. So right click, save to local file, computer science, year 8, term 1, lesson 3, and notice here we've got 2 new files, hblocker.sprite, hblocker.sprite zone identifier. This one isn't really necessary. This one is the actual sprite, and we're going to have 2 more when we save vblocker. There we go. Now the reason I've done that is to save myself having to recreate all this code. So you would have created one file for HBlocker, one file for VBlocker, and then you'd have done the level up on the mazes, and you wouldn't really want to code all of this again. So we're cheating by just saving the sprite with the actual data. So if I go back to our original file, which was the let's see if I can find it, which was the level challenge. I know I've got one there, but I think I saved it in year 8. I think. Yeah, there we go, level challenge. If I open that, what I can do now is import both of those new sprites. So I'm going to upload a sprite from the file. So I'm going to upload the horizontal blocker. There we go. And I'm going to upload the vertical blocker. And now I have both of those sprites with their code in my new game. So I'm going to save this quickly because I don't want to overwrite my earlier one. Save as, there we go again, shared documents. Computer science, year 8, term 1, lesson 3, and I'm going to call this full challenge. Okay, now the reason why I've done this is so that on different levels of my maze, and as you can see I'm on level 3 here, and I've got 2 of these little critters. Maybe I'd want one, maybe I wouldn't want any at all. And if I change the maze to level 1, well, they're just not in the right place or doing the right thing. So I'm going to have to code these up a little bit more. Again, rather like I did with the block and like I did with Mario, to listen for when anything is sort of shouted out, like I've touched a blocker, or I touched the maze, or we need to go level up, and it can react to it. So let's first of all go to our player and the scripts for our player. It's getting really messy here, so I'm just going to move this a little bit out of the way. And what I want is my touching element, because I need to know if I'm touching not just the maze, but if I'm touching either one of these blockers while I'm playing. And I can use a new operator called OR. In fact, I'm going to use 2 of them. I'm either touching the maze, or I'm touching a vertical blocker, or I'm touching a horizontal blocker. So I need 2 of them. And I can fit one inside the other to give me 3 blocks, which is what I need. So the first thing is I'm going to take out the touching maze and put it in the first one, and then drop that back in there. And then I can have more sensing, and I can have touching the horizontal blocker or touching the vertical blocker. And if we need some more space, we can just shrink that in, or touching the vertical blocker. So now every time I touch the maze or a horizontal or a vertical blocker, I go back to the start and my costume is changed to the Mario down 1. So the next thing I need to do is on my blockers, I need to actually change their code so that I know if I'm in a particular level, they will have a particular start point. So I'm going to have a look at that shortly. So let's go over to my blocker. So this was my blocker. I need to know where he starts in each level. And I don't want to have this fixed 205 minus 27. I want to change this depending on his start position each time. So let's see. We need to have another when I receive a level up. So let's deal with the horizontal blocker first. So when I receive the level up. Now if you remember, what we did with this was that we had the 3 if blocks for each level. Okay. So if level was equal to 1, or if level was equal to 2, or if level was equal to 3. So let's go back and put level in that, get the data. So if level was equal to 1, or level was equal to 2, or level was equal to 3, I need to change their X and Y start positions. But at the moment you can see that they don't have an X start or a Y start position, rather like the exit and the player do. So we need to create those, so we need to make new variables, and we need to do this on each one of them. So I'm starting with the H blocker. I'm going to have an X start position for this sprite only, and I'm going to have an XY position, a Y start position for this sprite only, so I can control where he starts. So again, we need to just plonk that, go to X position, go to Y position. Better than using those numbers, but we might need those numbers shortly to place our character. Now let's think about this. Maybe on level 1 I only want one item. I don't want to be able to see this one, the vertical one. And maybe on level 2 maybe on level 2 I don't want to see this one, I want to see this one. And maybe on level 3 I want to see them both, and maybe in different start positions. So that's what we're going to try to model here. So let's go back to the HBlocker and the script, and let's see if we can just finish off these items. So what do I need to happen when I receive level 1? Now if you remember, on level 1, which was the blue one, let's go back to the maze. On the blue one I wanted the horizontal blocker, but I didn't want that one. So I'm going to just deal with the horizontal blocker at the moment. I'll deal with that one shortly. So on here, when it's level 1, I want him to show. So I want to be able to see him, which means I'm going to have to hide him at some point. And then I want to say where I want him to start, because now we don't have actual start position. So if I put 2 set positions in there, one for X, one for Y, change that one for X, and I can have a look here. So where do I need him to start? I want him to start about there, which is at 205 minus 27, 205 minus 27. Okay, so that's what happens when he's on level 1. When he's on level 2, I don't want to see him at all. I only want to see the up and down version. So what I'm going to do is hide him, so he's not there. And again, for level 3, I want him back on the screen. So I'm going to show him, and then I'm going to set his start position, his X and his Y position. Now on level 3 I don't want him going here, he may be elsewhere. So let's take a look at the costumes for the maze on level 3, and work it on my horizontal one to make it really, really awkward. I think if he sort of barriers that, so that it's going to make it difficult for Mario to go through there. So maybe I want him in that start position there, which would be minus 37, minus 78. So go back to the scripts and have it out. I'll change that for X, otherwise I have a problem. Minus 37 and minus 78. So on level 3, that's his position, that's where he's going to run around. The only thing that I haven't got at the moment is I haven't sent him to the start position. Actually, I don't want to send him to the start position straight away. So I'm going to pinch that and I'm going to put it there, duplicate it and put it there. So he only goes to the start position on each level, after each level, but when I start up the game, I don't send him anywhere. So that is pretty much the workings for the horizontal blocker. See if it sort of works at all. There we go. You're going left and right, going left and right. Let's move it so that we go up a level, see what happens. I don't seem to have him, which is what I wanted. He was supposed to hide on level 2. So if I go to level 3, I'm expecting him to appear, There we go, he's blocking that one. So I've dealt with my horizontal blocker for the game. Right, let's deal with the other one, the vertical blocker. We're going to do pretty much the same thing with the vertical blocker. We're going to change one or two things. Let's see now. We are going to have to, let's just move this. We are going to have to first of all create our two variables for this sprite. X start position and the Y start position. For the sprite only. And I can just put them in there now. We know we're going to be moving that shortly. And then I need my receiving thing when I hear level up, and I need my 3 blocks. So now on the vertical blocker, I'm going to change sort of what I do. I don't want him to appear on level 1, but I do want him on levels 2 and 3. It's the same method. We need the ifs and we need the levels. Let's just do one and duplicate for the rest. There we go. If level equals 1, if level equals 2, if level equals 3. So if he's on level 1, then I'm sorry, we don't want to see you. If he's on level 2 or level 3, we need him to be seen. So the next item that I need is to set the X and Y start positions. Don't need to worry about level 1. Level 2 I've got. Level 3. Let's change this one for X. This one for X. And then we need to make our mind up where we want him to appear on each of these levels. So let's go and take a look at level 2. We want him to go up and down. So where would we want him to be going up and down? This is the little person. Remember that Mario is starting here and the end position is here. And we want to make it difficult for him to get through. So maybe we could place him around about here. So let's take a look at the coordinates for that. That is -137, -88. So if I go back to the scripts, I can set that -137, -88. And on the final level, let's go back to the maze. Where would I want him here? So I've got this one going left and right, and maybe this one could go up and down here, blocking. No, because Mario's going to start there, so that wouldn't be good. Maybe I have him going up and down here, so if I start him at the bottom, so that would give me a value of 30 -136. -136. Job done. The last thing I need to do is one of these. So let's duplicate that. Place that there. Place that there. Rebuild that. And now let's test our program. So click on start. There we go. Let's run around to level 2. Again, that's nice. Let's go for level 3. And now we've got them both running. So there you go. The only thing we haven't tested is what happens when Mario hits the item. He goes back on that one. He goes back on that one. So all is looking good. The next thing that we need to do really is just have a game over. You might want to add more levels or add more features. I'm just going to go to game over, and then I'm going to let you think about how you want to change your game.